Yeah. Welcome to chapter 19 of Through the Mist. We are almost done. So, Mikhaila, take it away.
Hi. So this chapter is about Afra is taking a walk with Myhanine. That's how I say it. And there's so many really juicy bits in it that I find it hard to even bring it down to a description about it. So I'm just going to dive right in, if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So it's called The Sanctuary of Silence. And so the first question is about silence, you know, how you feel with silence and whether you're capable of relaxing into just connecting to God emotionally without the mind. So the first quote is, there are conditions of the mind when its yearnings are too heavy for words to raise into utterance. They lie like the unknown treasures of the sea, but they who wish to see and understand the native worth and strength of these soul longings must dive into the depths of sympathy in which they lie. Then a following quote, similar concept, is, in the temple of holiness, not built with hands, which is eternal in the heavens, there is a sanctuary of silence, into which, no matter how many may enter, they can bring no vibration of a sound. The eternal hush ever remains unbroken. Can you hear Gaby munching on his toast in the background?
No. You cannot hear it. I can't hear it. Don't you worry. He's part of this.
Please don't. Okay, so these quotes to me are about the journey from the mind to the heart. And so the question is, what addictions can you recognize that you may have that want you to talk about your experiences and are not yet satisfied in communing only with God? And not only just talk about experiences, but also think about it, but not sit in your heart about it.
I don't even know what you're talking about. as in, it's in your heart. I'm thinking, that's a long, what was it again, Jill? 18 inches? We're trying to figure out. It's a private joke. I will be teased endlessly about this, but the idea that to not even involve the mind and to experience it with the heart, and just like, what is she even talking about? Is that a thing? Now I gotta go figure that out. So anyway, we'll pass on the question. Who wants to start? Judith?
Okay, I took notes and wrote down because this was such a good question because it's so simple, but it's so important. And so I wrote down that I want commonality with people. I want to fit in and have friends. I don't want to feel the emotion that the experience brings, but I just want to talk about it. And then I want to see if they share the same experience or emotion. And then I want them to define what the experience is for me. So it's like, I want them to do it for me as opposed to me doing it myself. And then I want to gain some attention. So I really realized that my experience is all about like how I fit in with other people. It's not about what I feel. So.
Yeah, that's great insight. I had a very similar list.
Okay. And if you don't get to have that experience of fitting in where somebody else also agree and gives you permission to give a certain narrative, if you don't have that, what would that feel like?
Well, you feel like a weirdo. You feel like you're a freak, kind of, you know.
Okay, so there it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, good one. And that's a painful one.
Yeah.
Thank you. Michael.
I want to answer another part of your question to Judith, Mila. Who can you have a conversation with someone with? I mean, who else is experiencing this and wants to talk about it in our daily life? You would be bringing up a conversation that would have a subject that would make absolutely no sense to anybody.
Well, this is just about feeling general emotions in general, like, So anytime like I have an emotion, it's like, instead of like feeling it, I'm going to tell someone like, oh, this person cut in front of me today.
Right.
It's about that. But yeah, I have a friend that kind of knows about this, but she doesn't believe in it. So I can't really talk to her about what comes up here. So that's why I do feel like it's important to be with you guys and to meet people that practice this. But in general, anytime something bad happens, I want to talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, oh, why does that person not like me? And then you just talk about it instead of like feeling the grief over it.
Exactly. Yeah. Good awareness.
That's
Michael, did you have a response to the question?
Yeah, my flavor of an answer is I talk about it because I have immediate gratification, and actually I have to admit it's not gratification, but it's what I think is gratification. And I fit in this way. I don't have to be in a peaceful, centered state in my soul. I don't have to be in my soul. I can just be in my mind. I think the question is, why do I choose to try to reach God from my mind, which is impossible, instead of trying the way that works, which is the soul? I'm just got 2 feet in my mind and I'm trying to do everything from there. And all my reinforcement is coming from there, and everything I'm used to is coming from there.
But that's what Mikhaila is asking. What are the addictions that keep you in the mind? What is it you're seeking? So you've mentioned gratification, reinforcements. What else?
Do errors count for addictions?
Let's find out. What else?
Well, like I don't believe it. I mean, I don't have I'm reading about Afrar's experience and it goes, oh, that's okay. He says he can do that. I have no experience with this. I haven't, it's outside of anything I've ever done. I can't grasp it. I guess I'm not believing that the only way to commune with God is with my heart. I want to try all the tools that I already am used to using. And I also said I don't value it. I must not value it,
So value there. Okay, so that's the addiction.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I use my mind, I get something that makes it feel valued, or I get valued. I get value. So I think that's
I
the
engage
addiction.
my mind and I have concepts and I probably have some spirit influence and I begin to build constructs and it's something to mull over during the day.
So value. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and maybe a different kind of value than I'm used to having. Not a physical matter value, but a spiritual value. I don't value.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Mikhaila, can you respond? I seriously am going, what do you mean talking to God through heart? Even I'm puzzled here. Well, how would you respond to Michael's?
Well, this is what's coming through my mind. I'm feeling a little bit vague about it as well. But, from the moment we're born, we're so forced to exist in the physical. And we create all our attachments to our existence through the physical. And so to start breaking away from those attachments, for me, I know it feels like completely out of control, completely unsafe, and just not real. Like Michael's saying, it's like it doesn't feel like it's even a real potential. But here you have Afra telling us that it is. So for me, I feel like it's this ripping apart. It's like,
wow,
I believe in Afra. I have these moments with God. I know it's real, but God, I so want to make it real in the physical, because that's what I've been told my whole life is what matters, and how I'm actually going to receive anything is only through the physical. And I can see as well that I want my addictions met still. So that's why God doesn't satisfy. Like I'll be even in a moment with God, and then I'll jump out of it and I'm like, oh, who can I talk to about that? It's like, geez, I was just with God, and now I'm thinking about how I can describe this to someone else. It's like, why is that more important to me?
But I think you just said it, because then that will make it real.
Right. Yeah. Because it doesn't seem real, so I can't value it because it's not real and nobody else thinks it's real, so I won't get any value through other people.
Yeah. The word real, just like the word value, has something kind of like start to hum. Sorry, Michael, go ahead.
Sharing it with someone gives validation. That's
Yes.
part of an addiction.
Yes. Now, let's not judge the addiction, because that's a child. No child abuse allowed here. It's a child that has the addiction, and some horrible situation caused the creation of it. We're going to have to, please remember that. It's okay. So value, real, we got some words here. And then once you find the word, you can expand on where that pain takes you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Selena, well, I can't remember who was next.
Well, this brings to mind for me a feeling of, I'm so used to talking to my tribe, like I do 2 or 3 of these a week, and then I'm with other people or my family, and I'm just being me. In fact, not even really in a deep way at all, talking. And then suddenly I'm looking around and there's eyes like this, and I'm going, and they're going like, she just said that? Oh, fuck. That's how I feel. Like I said, didn't even say anything, really.
Yeah.
Right? And I just want to not have that feeling anymore of how that feels to have them project that on me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're not getting your addiction met, fortunately. Just like Judith, there's nobody needing your addiction.
No,
which is a good thing,
they're not.
because then you get to feel.
No, in fact, Saya's apologizing. Well, it's Nana. Crap.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But so what is still stopping you from going into your heart and just having that moment with God?
Oh, I don't know if it really, okay. It's not really about, just where I'm talking about my experience as much as just talking openly about just being open emotionally. Yeah.
Right.
And being rejected.
So rejection.
Yeah.
But so you're still seeking, fortunately you keep experiencing rejection, but you're still seeking whatever the opposite thing is for that. If you're not being rejected,
acceptance. So acceptance. Like I would like acceptance. I would like to not have horror. Like I would be even okay with the acceptance of, oh well, she's just weird. We can accept that. But not like, I can't believe she said that.
Okay. So the addiction that is keeping you there is acceptance.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Jill.
There we go. Acceptance is a big one for me too. So is value. So is everything else. So yeah, I don't, kind of what Michael and Mikhaila were saying, that I don't feel like, I feel like it's a nice conversation. Like I feel like I'm just talking to myself. Like it's like I'm maybe having these conversations with God, but as far as I can see, as far as what I see right now, it's just me talking to myself. I could be talking to my dogs and have the same kind of feeling, I guess. So I don't believe that God's real. Like he's not, or he's not physical. Like he's not a person sitting beside me that I can have, or at the same table that I can have a real conversation with. That's what I feel like. So what came up for me was I have no one else to talk to about this. So the addiction of of having somebody physical, having that family, having a friend, so that belonging to somebody, or belonging
I
to
love it.
a group. I don't know the words for it right at the moment, but yeah.
But you're also seeking reciprocity. I find, Jill, you're looking for that band, that there's something you want. You don't just want someone to listen to you. You just want something. Okay.
I want to
what
have that
is-
conversation. I want to have that back and forth, that I tell you something, you tell me something back, like that.
So what is that
banter
feeling?
that
Yeah. What is that feeling you get from that? I matter.
I belong, I matter.
I matter.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
crap, it always goes back to that.
Jill and I had an experience last week around that word, matter. It was a beautiful experience. That it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else have other observation for Jill about it? Michael, do you want to go ahead?
I have some reflecting on myself. Would this be it?
Sure.
Well, I was noticing what I wasn't saying, and I didn't say that I was afraid. I didn't say I was avoiding going into my heart because of fear. And I didn't say I was avoiding it because I feel hurt there. So maybe I thought, well, maybe if I went there, I wouldn't feel either fear or hurt. And as I did that, I began to go into the feeling. So it was another
Wow.
way of getting into my emotions. I kind of dropped into my feeling space
Wow. Okay.
without realizing it.
Dang. That was
And
good. Okay.
and there's something about self-worth there, like a lack of self-worth, that I would just allow myself to go to that I would go there and enjoy that space. That may be some
Wow.
clues.
That's okay. Something is holding me back in saying, don't say anything. So I'm just respecting. There's something happening here, Michael. I don't want to say anything because it's gonna, Mikhaila.
Just listening to everyone's different ways of perceiving it, I'm just realizing how, for me, there's no value in me staying with myself. The only way that I get value is from other people giving it to me. So I'm very addicted to not staying with myself and to finding all these other reasons. And the irony of that is that when we actually choose to stay with ourselves, we get to find out all the spirits that are there, God that's there, all these things that we are longing for, but we're avoiding that longing because we don't want to be with ourselves. It's pretty mixed up.
Look how quickly Michael dropped. Yeah, didn't take long at all. Oh, my answers for that was written somewhere else, so we will skip. Let's move on. Okay,
Yeah.
Validation, confirmation, what, a whole bunch of similar stuff. So we'll just get on. Okay, next question.
Okay, question 2. So this Afra, on his walk with Mahine, they come to the place where they will be witnessing a ceremony, a graduation ceremony. And the beauty of the place inspires Afra to wonder about the different poems that he's heard, where people talk about, can you be quiet, darling? How God has given messages to people in their sleep that they've brought back into the physical day. And so this is part of one of those poems. The poet has a soul. So when the warder, night, opens the door, called mortal, of his prison house and bids the seer rest within the cell of sleep, the soul takes wing, and through the fields of his Elysium heaven, or what you will, he roams, entranced by angel tutors led, gathering fresh vision seeds of embryonic truths, with which to enrich the hope aureoled gospel. He prophesies in song that he may help the oppressed to toil and wait the dawn of better days, of which his eyes have caught the breaking rays. So during this book, we've spent, particularly the last few chapters, it seems, we've spent a lot of time discussing the sleep state and how real it is and how much it's something that we could really utilize and are utilizing. We're just not aware of it. So the question is, what blocks are stopping you from leaning in more to this truth and utilizing it for yourself and others?
Okay.
Who's it going to be? Michael.
Michael.
Get it started. What I felt was, well, of course, Mikhaila, there's no handles on this thing. I don't have any tutoring. I don't have any lessons. I don't know how to grab the sleep slate. How can I get into it if I can't get my hands on it? You know, it's this, I just slip right off of it. Is it even there? So I feel like I don't know how. And I want to say to you, maybe the clues are here in the book, or maybe we have some ideas, but if it's just desire, you know, I don't have the desire to be at one with God. I couldn't manufacture that. I don't think I can create a desire to be in the sleep state. What are some smaller steps? So I'm saying,
well, I think
that's what I'm saying.
the more accurate question is, how can I remember? Because you do have a sleep state. You've had it since you were a baby. It's happening. Why don't I want to remember?
Well, do I need to remember? I mean, there's no criticism in the book for people that don't remember that they go there, and we go and our soul is healed and educated. Maybe we don't have to know about the sleep state, and if I just acted more from my soul, I would automatically live the lessons I'm learning there. Do we have to be aware of what we do in our sleep state?
What's the fear? What are your fears about remembering your sleep state?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
See
know.
if you can connect to some as we talk, because I
Okay.
could feel the fears coming up. I don't know what the fears are. I just knew that there was some fear coming up. Yeah. Selena?
Well, like this poem makes it sound like it's all just roses, right? When you're in your sleep state. So that's the part if it was like this, maybe I would remember more of it. You know, like I'm just getting wonderful lessons and my guide's just taking me on trips through the spheres, showing me the galaxies. Yeah, sounds really awesome. But
So what is it? What's your fear right there?
My fear that, yeah, I'm bad there.
Okay. There you go. Do I want to remember?
I want to remember
I
that.
really am.
Well, and actually, I do work on trying to remember because I know that still will teach me.
Yes.
If I'm just manifesting my addictions there, that will, then I can, and I have faced some things based on that. And I've been actually really praying every night to remember my dreams and my sleep state and because I think things get carried over into your dreams. And my dreams are actually pretty mild. Well, like it's interesting, and the theme is really consistent. So I find that interesting too. And also what's interesting is looking at your dreams and going, like my husband has really fearful dreams, like he's being chased kind of dreams. I've never in my whole life had a dream like that, ever.
Okay.
So that kind of indicates one thing to me anyway. So I'm starting to pay more attention to it with what we've been learning in the book, you know, and trying not to be afraid of what I'm doing there and see what I can learn.
Mikhaila, do you wish to respond to Michael or Selena?
Just with what Michael was saying, I got this sense of this panic that was overcoming him, and that it's about this panic of I don't know about it, and just to be in that panic of not knowing about it.
Right.
And like you can't grasp it. Like it just that image of it slipping off. Just like day and imagery with God,
Beautiful.
because I'm fine. I don't know what's going on with me, but my brain is feeling quite overwhelmed, and I'm finding it hard to grasp on to anything. Yeah, but it's funny. I notice now that I actually approach this question differently to how you guys approached it as well.
Oh
so
boy. Okay.
I feel a little confused.
Oh, what was your approach?
Well, it's funny. I was just thinking about when I actually do, like when I come and visit you in your sleep state. So when I do that intentional work, and what it is about that I'm avoiding, rather than the fact that I'm going there every night and I'm not remembering. I just ignored that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally see it. Because if you can do it intentionally, like wow, sky's the limit.
But I don't want to. That's where it was blowing my mind. I'm like, I can do this intentionally, and I don't want to. And what I was realizing for me was it's the control. Like I feel like to go out of the mind and to just be present to the emotional experience, especially if we are being led by angels, of course it's going to be a bigger experience than our mind can grasp right now. And I just don't want to let go. It just feels so out of control to not understand it and not to like push it into a box that makes sense to me.
Yeah. Okay. Jill?
I'm totally terrified of my sleep state. I only have ever remembered nightmares, so all of my bad dreams. So to think that anything but that happens, and I know a lot of that has been spirit influence, like my experience with a lot of the Holocaust victims, basically, I don't know how to explain it. I put me into situations where I was involved in the gas chambers, and those are my dreams. So why would I want to remember that? Why would I want to, and then there's been some situations where, I haven't acted as the best person that, I think I'm a pretty good person, and I haven't acted in that way. So, why would I want to remember that? So I've got a pretty big block. I asked to remember my sleep state every night, and I've got a pretty big block to that.
But that's alluding to judgment, because we judge those emotions, we judge those injuries. We don't want to know. If we didn't judge it, there's certain experiences that I judge quite a bit, and so I am continually denying. I'm consciously denying some injuries that I have, and I end up actually judging Virginia during our session yesterday. It came from that place of denial that I then apologized to her for. But it's if you didn't judge, what you don't want to remember is the stuff that you're still judging. So if you release your judgment, see it as an injured child or something, then.
So I'm judging my nightmares?
Now, whatever it is that you think you're doing that is bad in your sleep state, if you didn't judge it, you won't be afraid to remember it.
Okay.
So I judge sexual shame. I judge it, or sexually shameful stuff, whatever that is. And based on my history, no kidding. Mm-hmm. So because of it, I'm going to not want to remember sleep state if it triggers sexual shame for me. And I know that consciously. Even now, even as I say it, I'm like, no, I'm not going there. So if I'm doing something that I will consider to be sexually shameful, I will not want to remember, even if it's just a tiny portion of my sleep state and the rest of it is good. But I'm going to shut it down because I judge that particular emotion and the events that trigger it. So once I no longer judge sexual shame, then I won't be afraid to remember.
So being aware of what we judge.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the best way to know what you judge is look at what you judge in others.
Yeah, of course, right.
Like, yep. Yeah, very, very easy to. Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. Mikhaila?
Just with Jill, what you're saying about the nightmares, I actually, when I have nightmares now, I wake up feeling happy that I had a nightmare because I see it as a part of the fear that is moving, and
Nice.
that's helpful.
Wow.
Especially if I wake up from a nightmare and then I go into grief, I really
Yeah.
see that is actually, there is work that's taking place in that situation.
Wow. Good one. I like that. Thank you. Judith.
Yeah, I remember my dreams, but I don't like yesterday when I had that episode with I'm going to walk with my guide, she wants to show me. So I went to bed trying to pray that I want to meet with my guide and go on this walk. Well, I didn't go on a walk with her. I kind of wandered around the spirit world, I think, or the earth plane, but I'm always like traveling. I'm trying to find a home. And I feel like it's because I'm not necessarily happy in my real life. So I'm trying to find more excitement in my spirit life.
Right.
But another thing that came to mind was that I'm ashamed of my guide seeing me because of the condition
Yeah.
I'm in.
Which came from judging it.
Yeah, and I'm judging it because it's like, well, of course your guide has seen you, you know. She sees you in your regular life walking into the shower. She's going to see you when you're, you know. So I thought, oh, that's another fear that I have of judging myself. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't judge those injuries, you will not be afraid to feel the shame.
Mm.
Because the shame is just an emotion that gotta get moved through you.
Yeah.
And then whatever else that happens with that. So those are my blocks as well. God knows what I'm doing. I'll be ashamed. I don't want to feel more shame than I already do. Some of my blocks are why I don't want to remember. Another thing is that what if I am having adventures like Afra in my sleep state? That will also be triggering because I'm not worthy of that much time and attention. Or people actually spending all that much time with me, showing me around. What if I'm having really fantastic experiences? And then again, like Judith, like what you said, then you come back to your wake state and you feel miserable because you had something nice elsewhere. And that could also be why we wake up feeling the contrast, the sadness, which is what Afrad had felt. He alluded in this chapter, he would wake up trying to grasp to something he had, which was that he was with his mother or some other wonderful experiences. Michael.
Maybe it's like, you know how Jesus says, the soul can't, if you don't like a man, you don't like a particular man, it's not like your soul can limit that emotion towards that man and you like every other man, you dislike all men. So maybe if I'm going to block one thing about the sleep state, I'm going to block the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. That's yeah, I'm wondering.
And
Must
Jill's
be.
comment about Jill about the gas chamber, you know, there's an emotion on earth about Jewish people don't want the reality of the Holocaust to be forgotten. So maybe they carry that emotion over and you're open to feeling it and they're helping you to know it's real, that it really happened.
Yeah, Robin actually did a channeling with some of the spirits that were attached to me, and that's exactly what they wanted. That's all that they said was like, we want her to remember. We just want people to remember.
Wow.
And that was their biggest drive, is that we just want everybody to remember. And
Good call, Michael.
yeah, that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could I ask another okay, can I ask one more question about dreaming? I'm used to these really frivolous, entertaining dreams that I can actually control some of, you know, and if I wake up, I can go back into them if I'm lucky. and it involves zoos and animals and travel, and it's just nutty stuff. I think of it as in-flight entertainment while I'm sleeping, so that I don't wake up, my mind is going. It occupies me. That's my sleep. That's what I remember. I don't have any connection to an authentic feeling or an authentic experience that happens in my sleep state. I don't know where to go with that. I'm just saying this is what I'm noticing.
Yeah. I don't know how to interpret that either. Anybody have ideas?
Well, are you feeling joy and interest in those experiences?
Not really. It's I think there's more of a irritation, a frustration. It's more of like being on a treadmill and just keeps going on and on.
Huh. Well, there you go.
Oh, you're saying I feel like that's what life is all about, is being on this treadmill.
Well, that is how you feel about your
Yes.
life. That is your judgment about your life right now, that I'm just doing the same old thing. I'm not really progressing. Nothing's changed for me. That is your judgment about yourself.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Selena.
Well, since we've really started focusing on this, and I've developed this practice around it, and journaling and really documenting and stuff, and seeing a theme. And even though it doesn't seem to me like the foremost injury, I'm trusting it. I'm just decided to trust it. So it's always dreams of anxiety around time. So if that's what's coming forward, like, I have to stop judging it, just keep having them, keep documenting. And now the last couple of dreams around time have been, I haven't had anxiety. Like, I've had less judgment of myself, acceptance of it, acceptance that I can't control time, that things happen, and so I'm hoping that if I keep doing that, then I'll move on to something more depth, more like, if this one's on the surface and it needs to be dealt with, like, I'm just trying to trust the process. Because when I started being more active and sincere about it, like, it's really ramped up.
Wow.
So, and I remember them and I can write them down.
Wow.
Whereas before I'd remember it and it would slip away in really quickly, right? And then I started realizing, these are recurring. This must be trying to tell me something. It's recurring. It's the same all the time. It's recurring. And the documenting really helps to see the thread of commonality. And so I'm just trying to trust that process. And hopefully even then I will be able to remember flying through the cosmos with my guide, if I can get rid of some of these. But, be really cool even to move on to another one. Even if it's, not the same one all the time, like, to just move on if I heal this one, right?
Well, the thing is, to your guides, what you're working through right now is a very valuable lesson. You're judging it as surface level. It's very key, and it will go very deep. And then once we get through this and we go to sleep with a question, and then we remember what we learned about it, and then we wake up and deliver and act on those knowledge. Like, can you imagine you walking into a vast library and mentors, and then you wake up with the knowledge? Holy smokes. Like, what is,
and if they think it's important, then it must be.
Exactly.
So I just have to, I'm developing way more faith and trust in the process. And that's only because I'm taking action with it.
So Coney, when he was writing, I think he did the 3 parts on healthcare. If you go to his blog, he talked about what he does with dreams and what he was doing for him. I can't remember now, but it's there on his blog. There's some good ideas about dreams.
Yeah,
and how he uses it. Mikhaila?
Well, it seems like there's a lot of value. And I think it's tied in with the judgment piece of like having your dream and then in the physical being able to connect, even just sort of intellectually, but to the emotions of the dream.
Yeah.
Because remember, Mila, when I would come to see you, and then there was that thing of, okay, well, I'm working in this emotion in the sleep state, but I'm still holding it out in the physical. So it seems like it's an important part of the healing process.
Yeah.
Is to acknowledge it and to even like, for me, like I said, now I start to get excited if I have an emotive dream, because I'm like, okay, that means something's moving. And like Selena's saying, that the anxiety has changed to something else now. So these things are moving. So just to even to just name your dreams, whatever they are, and to try and get a sense of the emotion that's connected to them, even if it feels like that running on a treadmill thing, that is an important emotion that needs to be felt. Yeah.
I actually started to do a bit of journaling and ranting, actually feeling about, I'm not progressing, I'm stuck, nothing is happening, I'm not feeling my feelings. I actually started to go into it. And actually tapped into something really big by doing that. And then by the time I got up the next morning, sleep state, I was in full on agony, physical agony, felt insane, like I was breaking through something already, just by connecting to that feeling of, I feel I'm stuck, I feel I'm not progressing. Everybody else can cry for hours, I can't get 5 minutes, and I actually just went into it because I was judging myself for not progressing, but then I actually went into the emotions about it. And something happened as a result.
I call that ranting with God, and I find that it's really, whenever I finally let myself rant with God, that's when I start to drop into the other stuff, because while I'm still resisting it and judging it, it's there, isn't it?
It's just stays. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. Okay, next.
Okay, so Afra's still talking about the sleep state. So he talks about, I became more than ever impressed with the fact of how completely the two conditions intersphere each other for those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. And my understanding opened to the appreciation of the declaration, "Ye must be born again," before one is able to participate in the revelation of the world of spirit as the natural man becomes absorbed in the world of matter. So the question is, why do you want to be a natural man instead of born again?
Ooh, Mikhaila, she pulled a big one with this one. I had no idea I had all these feelings inside of me. Some grief came up. Good one. Okay, who wants to start?
I'm going to start because I hear everyone else's and then I kind of forget what it is that I
No, okay.
was thinking. So for me, I had a turning point in this like about 1.5 years ago when the boys got taken away from me, and in terms of the physicalness, I had no control. So I really felt like my only option was to open up to believing in the spirit world and to see how much support there was for the boys and for me in the spirit world. And I did get to that point, and I did find peace during that process. But now that piece is not there, like, I mean, in some aspects it's not there, but I guess other injuries have come up where I'm still feeling like I want to hold on to my physical world and my physical understanding about things. And I'm starting to see more and more that the theme for me is that I really still want to stay angry at God, and I really still want to blame God, and I want to reject God. Like, I'm noticing a big addiction that I have, which I only discovered a few weeks ago, is if someone hurts me, I just want to reject them. So I can see how that's a really big one for me. And I recognized the other day that for me to believe and to know the truth of God's presence during my whole life, which is the truth, I have to be present to those experiences, which means that I get to see that God was there, but I also have to feel the pain of what my environment was inflicting upon me. And so that's kind of the final piece for me, is to be prepared to go into those emotions, and then I'll know how much God was there. But until I'm prepared to feel those emotions, I can't know how much God was there.
Wow. Okay.
And I do want to know.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, that's good. Wow, that's a really good synthesis right there. Thank you. Who's next? Michael?
I thought this was a clever, not a clever question, but it
It
had a
was
point to
very,
it.
it was a very
Because
clever question.
what it was asking me is, why am I choosing to be a natural man
Yeah,
when I
yeah.
could be born again?
Yeah.
And it's presuming that, and it's reminding me that my soul knows that born again is a fact, is a truth. So why am I choosing to be less than what I could be?
Okay.
I just want to say that. And so that's what I'm trying to answer.
Okay.
Judith.
Oh no, sorry, I'm waiting. Michael, are you going to
Oh,
answer?
is he
Or? Oh, okay. I thought
He's
you
gonna
had
answer.
some answers to say. Okay, thank you, Judith. Go ahead. Thanks, Mikhaila.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know if being born again is a truth. It's interesting, but when I felt
Okay.
about this question, it was like, I feel like in order to connect to God, we've been reading that it's like a thin veil. There's really it's a very thin barrier between us and God, but I don't believe that. I believe it's like only people who are mediumistic can really get to God, and only people who have certain skills
Wow.
can feel.
Okay, so you feel that you are missing some kind of ingredient in your soul,
Yeah,
a prerequisite.
it hasn't been proven to me that I can breach this barrier and feel God, even though I do feel it. On one occasion many years ago, I felt God.
Help me understand this. You're gonna have to sell me on this one.
Well, maybe, I don't know, I'm not being so focused, but I just felt like in order to be connected with God, you have to feel God. You have to feel everything. You seek out God and you feel God's answer on things and God's feelings, and that's how you become at one with God.
Okay.
And so I guess, well,
okay.
I would say my problem is the first answer about being too concerned about what I'm too concerned about people as opposed to God and what people think of me. And secondly, I don't feel like I can communicate with God.
Why?
Well, I guess because part of it is I'm judging myself and I feel like a bad person. And unless I do A, B, and C and fix certain things, God isn't going to communicate with me.
Wow.
Some of my stuff.
Holy smokes. Okay. So, okay, but I don't want to answer. Hold on. This is precious. This is priceless here. So what you feel is somehow I am defective, I'm missing something. What is it? Help me feel this.
Well, I guess I don't have the desire to connect to God. I would rather worry about connecting to people and getting my addictions met.
No, but you've also said, I'm not trying to put you on the spot here.
But I also,
said
feel God. I can't cross that barrier where, many people can really feel God and I can't. I still don't believe that it's such a narrow or thin veil. It's something quite huge.
It's huge. I'd like, stop. We're going to pause right now. We're going to wait. Like, help me out here. So do you, because it's just a feeling. It's just a feeling. But I want to capture the feeling. So I don't have what it takes. I don't have some kind of an appendage in my soul. I'm missing, my soul is defect. Like, what is it? Because you have a soul.
I guess
you really have a soul.
Yeah, I do. And I'm judging myself. Like, I think, if someone's mediumistic, they're going to connect to God quicker because they already have that opening.
So if Oh.
If I don't have that ability, then, which is a falsehood, I would say,
Yes.
it's not true.
Okay. So, well, you can call it mediumistic, you can call it mangoes, you can call it oranges. Basically, you have this idea of, I don't have mangoes, so, well, that road's not for me.
Right.
Like you can be calling it mediumistic, but you can call it anything else. If you were in some other environment, you would have used a different word. I'm not academic, or I'm not,
Right.
of a royal lineage, or like, you will have found some other way to describe the same feeling, which is what? What is the feeling?
Well, I guess I'll go back to my first answer. It was like I'm defective, like
Perfect.
still have that emotion of being defective.
So if you go in that grief, God, I am defective, I'm defected, you and I ain't never gonna happen. That grief will open you.
Yeah.
Because that's the original feeling. The rest are just negotiations.
Yeah.
That's the original feeling. I'm defective. There's no way you're going to want me, or there's no way, yeah. For me, the feeling is I've been so corrupted by my environment. So much sin has entered me. I will never be cleansed of it, which is a very cultural language of you're impure. And once you're impure and stained, it can never be washed. You're an impure woman forever. It's a sexual shame.
So
That's my cultural feeling.
Yeah, and so you feel like I can't connect until I fix all those problems and become clean, right?
Exactly. When actually that's not it. What I did do is I grieved to God. I am tainted. I've been corrupted. I'm damaged beyond repair. I will never be good enough for you or pure enough for you. That was a grief I ran into, because that is the actual emotion. And then something happened in that emotion that I no longer had that feeling. In fact, what I have now is this incredible faith that every single injury with me will be healed. Everything will be gone. I just know it now. And I'm thinking, oh, it must have come from that time when I had those feelings. So I just remember having the feeling. And for some reason, now I have this faith of like, everything will be healed. Every piece will be, like, I have such strong faith now from having gone through that experience. So, Judith, when you go into the emotions, you will come out of it with this conviction that nobody can shake off. I just know everyone's injury is going to be healed. It's non-negotiable. It's going to happen. God insists on it. So
Yeah.
it will be done. How freeing is that faith I have now? But that's the emotion. Stay in the emotion. The grief is that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Oh, Mikhaila, your questions. Oh my God. Okay. Who's next? Jill, do you want to share how you feel? You want to pass? Okay. Selena? Selena's in the dark. Michael
Yeah,
first.
I haven't caught up to daylight savings time. So having trouble wrapping my head around the fact that by 5 it's dark. Yeah.
Yes.
Because it just happened, right?
Yeah, it did just happen.
It just happened. This natural, yeah, for so many years we've been like, there was religion in terms of your soul, and then that was it, right? But now there's just so many modalities out there and so much languaging, and the natural love path, natural man, like there's just so many things a person can explore, and they're becoming so mainstream acceptable. Like, I feel like if I express some of my feelings and use the word source instead of God, or if I write all of that, so it's so easy or tempting to want to go into the natural love path and not use the real words, the ones that actually matter and have impact, and to do that sort of soft, mushy that feely good, nice, mushy thing that people do to express spirituality. That's the natural path. So I find that kind of tempting sometimes. Well, not really, but because so many people don't really identify with God's way. Like, they don't like it. They don't want you to say God unless you're religious and Christian, and then you have to talk about God only through Jesus. Like, there's so few people that are so it's tempting to want to go to the natural thought path because there's so much of it and it's so easy now to do that.
Right.
Right. So that's
You can find social acceptance.
exactly acceptance and be able to kind of speak your spirituality as long as you're using the terms that people accept and you know it's all love and light and it's all wonderful and everybody dies and they're just perfect and all of that, right? Yeah.
So for you, you want to be a natural person, a natural woman, because you'll get acceptance.
Yeah, and then I can talk about spirituality
Be
in
able to
ways
share.
that people are really happy. Like I can
Yeah.
talk, they don't want to hear me talk about dark spirits in the spirit world that need help. But boy, I bet you if I brought out some tarot cards, they'd be all over it.
Yeah,
That kind of thing.
exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
like it's,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. That's very insightful. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Michael.
I have two comments, and I don't feel like I'm really answering it for myself yet. One is that when Judith was speaking of not having a desire for God, you know, my reflexive thought is to develop a desire for God, but I recognize it could be protective. You could be having a non-desire for God in order to protect you from something.
Exactly. It's what Mikhaila said. If you hurt me, I'm going to reject you. I think it's somewhere in the vein of rejection. So for Judith can say, which I'm familiar with, you're probably going to reject me because something's wrong with me. So I'm just going to pretend I don't even want it. Let's just save myself all that barrel of pain. I'm just going to pretend I don't want it. I pretend I don't need to watch romantic movies. I don't want it. I'm good. It's like, yeah, I want it so bad. It hurts so bad that I'm better off just saying I don't want it.
Because our parents rejected us when we weren't perfect, and our friends
I don't know yet.
ghosted us.
I try not to guess because I'm always wrong. So if I just follow the emotion, it'll tell me exactly how it got created, saving myself that trouble. Learn the hard way. I'm always, whatever I'm guessing is always wrong. So I've just stopped guessing. Just go in the emotion.
Also, Jesus talks of in the new birth and in the true God in Paget and in the Bible, the being born again is seems like something that happens when every part of you that is natural has become divine, right?
Right.
And then you can enter the heaven. Here I have more of a feeling like it's a spectrum. It's a process. It's something that increases.
Right.
Somebody can be experiencing being born again, and then I'm guessing you get to a point where you are born again, and you're entirely
right. Because the path towards that one man is about you becoming in harmony with God on the issue of love and truth. That's the one man journey. So in every issues in which you're not in harmony with God has to be released, and then God's vision is entered you, and then that becomes your feeling. You and God feel the same way about the issue, one by one by one by one by one. So that's why it's gradual. That's how I see it. That's why the stairs.
And things get unlocked in us and opened as we go along, and we can't go backwards.
Yeah. I mean, most of us, it's so painful to release all the sins. Why the hell would I go backward? Why would I do that to myself? So it's, it's an intelligent choice that comes from experience.
So it's not intelligent to hold on to our sins. The pain is because I am holding on to them. So I'd rather hold on to my sins.
Yeah, but there's some fears involved.
Yeah.
Will I be forgivable? Am I worthy of redemption? They're going to be all of that. God, are you going to be disappointed in me? I've cried about that. God, are you disappointed in me? I must have disappointed you. Those feelings can be released.
Could our culture have could there be a fear in the air amongst mortals that these are fears that we don't want to touch, we want to stay away from?
Must. I mean, Jesus did speak about the global terror. Remember in the second, third, can't remember, third, I think it's the third assistance group. There's this chart, and then there's a global terror that we all have to work through. Yeah, which is something we learn from our environment, culturally, worldly.
Because when I put out my feelings, my feelers about it, I feel like don't go there. So
Yeah.
I'm not feeling God, or I'm not relating enough to God and the angels.
Yeah.
Or just the truths, anybody with truth.
Yeah.
About it. Okay.
Because of your addictions with the world. If you didn't have those addictions with the world, you don't care that they disapprove.
Just a lot of fear. Okay.
Culturally, we have a lot of stories about, you know, how good your parents are and how you should worship your parents and all of that. But I'm willing to go against that because I've accepted that I've harmed my children, and that's a line you don't cross with me. I've harmed my children. If I need to forgive my parents, I will do it. And I get so much pushback from spirits and ancestors for daring to feel that my parents have done anything wrong to me. How could you do that? You're going to kill your mother, this and that, you're ungrateful. Those are pushback. But my desire is stronger, or my lack of addictions, or whatever you want to call it, is stronger, that I'm willing to stand up to that pushback, to continue on, because I have a stronger feeling around my children didn't deserve to be harmed. This will stop here. This will stop with me, no matter how much pushback I get. So that desire is stronger than the addiction for approval, which I still have in other areas. So you will feel a pushback. I literally see my ancestors come to attack me about it, but I stand firm. I say, no, this stuff hurt my kids. I have nothing else to say. It ends here. Yeah. While in other areas, I'm still in denial how I'm hurting your children. One issue at a time. So are we good with this question? Oh, yes. So my answer was, why do I want to be a natural man? I will lose myself. I will realize that everything I am and has been doing was for nothing, because God is away and I'm not on God's way, that all I've done has been for nothing. There's this feeling that all I've lived and endured is only something that I'm now supposed to discard. Everything was just addictions and facade. I have nothing of substance. I'm not important. Only God is important. God's stuff is important. All that fluffy stuff, the celestial, seems to make me feel that I'm just a dud that needs to be cleansed and rid of. That's where it takes me. So this feeling of, what do you mean my suffering was for nothing? Because it just the stuff I need to get rid of that was useless. It has to mean something. That seems to be the anger I seem to have about it. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the last question.
Okay, last question. Each change produces a further development of power in the man, of which there can be no cessation, and at the same time separates him from all influences which would be a hindrance in the future, while he is introduced to the companionship of others who are able to stimulate him to greater spiritual attainments. Those who will leave their friends here presently will not be severed from them. The love existing between them will still continue. For those who ascend will be like mountain guides who carry with them a cord by which they can assist their friends behind to make an easier ascent. So how does that make you feel?
Do you want to start, Mikhaila?
Yes, I will. I really liked reading that. I felt this sense of that God has really got us, that every little step-by-step process is really supported and nourished. And I've recognized that in myself. You know, sometimes I see things that I do now that have changed. And I always loved that Jesus he said that a lot. He's like, you can push yourself to be good, or if you actually feel the emotion that's stopping you from being loving, you'll naturally be loving. And I appreciate seeing those aspects of myself now and seeing the truth of that. But at the same time, it felt like, well, if God has got us so tightly and so supportively, why don't we know? So I'm still feeling, it still triggers that sense of anger of, well, this is all nice, but I want to know it. I want it to be real. That seems like a bit of a theme for to be real and yeah. Yeah. But also with the friend, like bringing your friends up, I remember feeling a sense of relief when I discovered divine truth, because it was almost like this realization that by me choosing to be what the world might perceive as selfish and focusing on myself and my healing, I was actually going to be making the most contribution to humanity. And I like that.
Okay, thank you. It's triggering for me. It's triggering and confronting the addiction that I'm currently trying to be rid of. It's like what Selena and I were saying earlier. Just do a surgery. Just take it. Just take it. Oh my God. Why do we have to work through it? Step by torturous step. Judith?
Yeah, when I read that, it felt more like about how I relate to people who practice divine truth or whatnot. And I get jealous of people, which is my own self-judgment, like, oh, I should be as good as they are. And I also kind of expect them to help me. And if they don't, I get angry, or if they don't help me the way I want to help.
Yeah.
But what I've been finding interesting lately is that I'm coming across people who are meeting who it's like they're in a worse condition than I am. And it's like, well, I know what's going on with them. Like for example, there's a young girl I know who's bipolar and she's on medication and a disability, and she's in her late 20s, and she's completely convinced that she's defective, basically, because she ended up in a mental hospital because when she wasn't on medication. And I thought, oh, she's just very highly mediumistic, you know, and has issues of worth. And it's like, oh my God, why are these people crossing my path? It's like, it gives me more faith that if I were to change, you know, I could help her more.
Right.
I mean, at least her by just feeling me and feeling the example that I am.
Yeah.
You know, that it would be helpful to her.
Yeah.
And that motivates me to want to change.
Yeah.
So.
Others? For me, it's triggering feeling of jealousy and competition. And earlier today, before the group, I decided to surrender to that feeling of jealousy and kept feeling my guide saying, "Don't judge it, don't judge it." So I was able to surrender and verbalize that I'm not cruel. I don't have anything after all. I don't have any gifts. I surrendered into that feeling, but I was quite ashamed that that's how I feel. And then I dropped into the memory of my mother's jealousy towards me, even as an infant. So that gives me a feeling of self-compassion, that I'm jealous of others because somebody was jealous of me and hoarded my gifts and took ownership for whatever little gifts and abilities I had. She made it hers. Or that I learned to always hold myself down and don't trigger her jealousy or else. So I feel more compassion now. So I'm actually willing to feel my jealousy, like let it burn, just so I can get rid of it, while also challenging it by deliberately trying to lift other people, knowing that it's going to make me burn, because the burn feeling is that pain is being released, and that I'm just doing to others what was done to me. So that way I have a little more compassion that I feel jealous because that's what was done and is still being done. So I'm holding myself back so that I don't trigger her jealousy, but then I'm angry when somebody else takes off because I'm not giving myself that. Jealousy I've learned for myself is when I don't give myself permission for something, but I see somebody else do it, boy, I'm burning. So that's my definition of jealousy. And yet I'm not blossoming into myself, and then I actively push other people from blossoming, which creates a shame. It's like, oh God, help me stop this. So fortunately, I dropped into some feelings on why. Hopefully it'll be gone soon. Right, Selena? Surgery, just take it out. I don't want this in me anymore. So hopefully that gives some clue. Like for me, if I, in that chapter, when I see that other people get to go on and I don't, whew, that'll trigger some good grief in me. How come I wasn't good enough? How come I wasn't accomplished? God, how come I'm not good enough for you? Those kind of feelings will get triggered by that question. Yeah. Others?
That description that you just gave of jealousy was great. It really helps me to see that presence of it in my life.
Yeah. And I have damaged all of you in this group because of that injury, which is terrible. Yeah. Thank you. Michael?
It makes me feel appreciative, and also, as Mikhaila expressed it, that God has created something very loving, a process, or designed it, or made the framework, and then spirits have created it out of their love, stepped in and provided it. So I feel appreciative. How does it make me feel? I feel appreciative and more aware of God's assistance. And I feel an invitation to trust it, because maybe I could make better use of it. Maybe I could feel like, oh, help is going to come to me because this is my desire.
Wow.
And then, because I get defensive about help that comes to me, and I keep it at a distance until I'm ready for it, but I could be more welcoming. And then maybe I could also become part of the chain, this big chain of helping and assistance. So
that is inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That there's like a purpose and a reason and a commonality and a link. Yeah. And then there's actually some God in it. So thanks for the question, Mikhaila.
Very good questions. Very challenging. Yeah. Like it goes straight to the heart of it. I love it. It's like I try to find a way to create ways to encourage more of that, Mikhaila. That's beautiful. The gift you have there and the kind of questions you create, it's quite a gift you have there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think our time is up. We didn't get a chance to ask a frowning question, but I feel complete. Yeah, Mikhaila?
Can I suggest a question that we maybe can just ask ourselves?
Sure.
Yeah. Because the section in the book that talks about the embryonic truths, gathering fresh vision seeds of embryonic truths. And I just wonder, like, it seems that it's a lot easier for us to focus on what the negative stuff that might be happening there. And if in the sleep state, but if we can get some awareness of when we are gathering these seeds and we are bringing them to the physical and we are building them, because I believe that we all are.
Yes. So the question is, what positive experiences am I having or engaging with in my sleep state that will kind of help me feel?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's a good one to ask, actually. Yeah. One time, I think that would be a beautiful question to ask. God, what positive things am I doing in my sleep state that, I can be proud of it. I don't have to be so afraid to see it.
and that is creating change in my physical, to see the way
Yeah,
the physical.
yeah. And that I'm actually acting on it.
Mm.
Because yeah, we could be learning all kind of good stuff there, but we wake up and go back into addiction with the world and don't act on it. Yeah, that's and it's changing my physical life. I like that. Thank you, Michael.
I'm glad you pulled out that phrase, fresh vision seeds of embryonic truth, because I'm used to the idea that truth is just dropped into me or revealed, but really it's kind of the prebiotics of it are planted, like, and it's reminding me of the parable, the sower, and some seed, some ground is rocky and some is medium and some is fertile, and the yield is different. So what you this question, not to take away from your suggestion, Mikhaila, but how could I be a more fertile ground for the embryonic seeds that God is
Ooh,
continually
I like
sowing?
it.
And it
That's
has
a
to
good
do,
one.
yeah, it has to do with, for me, it has to do with like awareness, something to do with awareness and appreciation.
Okay, go for it. That's a good one too. If you guys want to ask that, how can I be a more fertile ground? For more truth, for God's truth. That's a good one to ask. So there's 2 questions right there. All right. Michael is preparing for next week's. And then after that, we are done. Gotta prepare everybody for it. Yeah. All right, everyone.